Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar. We're excited you're here. We wanted to start a minute or two after the hour to make sure the people who were a bit late still had a chance to attend and see today's presentation. Thanks for attending today. First, a couple of announcements before we begin. My name is McKay Allen. I'm the content manager at Log My Calls. We host webinars here about every week, and we're really excited you've joined us for this one. We had some help with Direct Marketing News. They were promoting this one as well as we, so we've got a good crowd, and we're excited that you're in the crowd. We're going to turn it over to our presenter here in a moment, Carlton Van Putten, who's the VP of Marketing here at Log My Calls. But first, a couple of ground rules. If you have questions, and we encourage you to ask questions throughout the webinar, just type those into the little question bar on your GoToWebinar screen there, and I will read those to Carlton at the conclusion of the webinar. So you can have your questions answered directly. So I'll verbally read those as you type those in. First, just a little bit of information about the webinar recording itself. We are recording the webinar, and we'll send that recording to you along with some other resources either this afternoon or first thing in the morning. So you'll have that. We encourage you to share the recording and share those other resources on social media and in terms of internally at your company as well. So with that, I do want to briefly introduce Carlton Van Putten, who is the Vice President of Marketing here at Log My Calls. He'll be giving today's presentation. It'll last 30 to 40 minutes in that neighborhood, and then we'll take questions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Carlton. He can introduce himself more fully and talk a little bit about today's presentation. So Carlton, go ahead.
Thanks, McKay. Good afternoon, everybody. Wanted to thank you as well for joining us this afternoon, and wanted to do this presentation for a bit because we're starting to, our business is starting to grow and really gain some traction with digital marketing agencies and even in-house digital marketers. And what we've learned since launching the service and also focusing on that particular audience is the ways in which they're using our technology to really drive measurable improvements in terms of marketing ROI. And so what we wanted to do today was really summarize, this isn't theoretical information, we really wanted to summarize the actual benefits, the things that our current customers are seeing in how they can use this type of technology to grow their business. And so I'm going to walk you through some slides and make some comments on them, and then also obviously look for some questions from those that have joined us here. And we'll have a good conversation and a good dialogue. So it should take about 30 to 40 minutes, and we'll walk you through it, and we'll move on from there. So we're using some new technology here with Prezi. And so I am learning for the first time, although I've walked through this, how to use this technology. So a little bit about me and my background. I've been in technology marketing for many, many years. Started my career at Apple as a product manager, and I've been actually a part of software services for the last 10, 11 years, launching several of them. And so, so software as a service obviously has come into its own, and this kind of technology is an interesting one because it's combining telephony with software as a service online, and it's a fairly complex product to try to execute on. What we've tried to do from a functionality standpoint is just to simplify that for people, to make it easy to use, easy to consume, easy to implement, and easy to integrate. Get it again. I have a click boy. He's going to click for me.
I'm the click boy.
So Log My Call, just a real top overview. It's a call tracking and call analytics application. Many of the features that we've designed into this are designed for agencies, both outsourced agencies and in-house agencies that might be dealing with multiple internal clients or divisions. Our unique claim to fame, actually, which you're going to see sort of towards the end of this presentation, is we really go beyond the phone call ringing, the actual information about duration and time of call and caller ID. We have a significant amount of our application that is focused around what happens after the phone rings. And for that reason, Amazon Web Services, where we basically host a large portion of our service, picked us as a global startup winner this past year. 2,500 different companies competed. Log My Calls was selected as a grand prize winner because of some of the innovations that we're doing around conversation analytics and information about what happens on a phone call versus just the phone call ringing itself. Okay, looks like we're on track here. Why do we do this? Well, you know, it's really clear that for local marketing, local businesses, and for national brands that are driving local traffic or local inquiries, the phone call is the most important response they can get. And so there's a ton of information and ton of money being spent on driving phone calls. $68.4 billion was spent on phone-based, phone-driven advertising in 2012. And the reason for that is pretty simple. Phone calls produce 3 times the revenue of a web lead, and that's just statistically proven by several different sources, Google being one of them, and we'll see a few others. But essentially, a phone lead, somebody that bothers to pick up the phone either from mobile advertising or pay-per-click or SEO or even direct response advertising, is in market. They're ready to buy. They are willing to actually invest their time in speaking to somebody over the phone. And so those leads end up being extremely valuable for that business that's getting the phone call. And the challenge, of course, is, you know, you're driving digital campaigns, and the phone is, you know, inherently non-digital. And so, you know, a lot of times we'll take the path of least resistance, which is, you know, we'll drive them to a web lead or a form fill or something like that for this customer, when in fact this customer may pick up a phone, but because it's difficult to tie phone conversations or phone calls with digital campaign efforts, it's something that sometimes agencies will avoid, or internal marketers will also avoid. But you have a huge opportunity, and if you look at BIA Kelsey, who actually specializes in looking at local search as a company, they're consultants on that. They did a survey and reported that 68% of businesses report that phone calls provide the highest quality leads, and we see that here as well. We get form fills for demo requests, and we do drive digital marketing campaigns that end up leading to downloading white papers and things like that. But if you look at the number of conversions that we have for our service, or for anything that you're getting from someone that's calling in from some type of online or offline marketing versus filling out a form, it's a significant difference. It's 2 to 3 times higher for us, and the statistics are showing that they're, you know, 2 to 3 times more valuable. And it's because they're more likely to convert and they're ready to buy. But there's a problem with it, as you know, and part of the problem with it is that most agencies really aren't focused on getting attribution for these calls. They'll try to avoid it at times for form fills because it's challenging, or they don't really know how to use call tracking effectively to be able to prove their ROI, prove their conversions, attribute leads from digital online campaigns to phone calls. And so that's really the problem that the technology that we have addresses. They either aren't using it at all, or they aren't using it effectively. And it really is something that should be a part of any online campaign, because if a customer wants to communicate with you by telephone, that's a highly valued customer. You shouldn't really close that channel of communication off. You should make it available to those that are more comfortable with taking action now versus waiting for a callback from a web form fill. So let's talk about the 5 ways that you can grow your business. You can grow with call tracking if you're an agency, and how you can incorporate this into your metrics and help you to lose less clients. You can really impress clients with call tracking based on some of the features that we have in our app. You can definitely get your clients to spend more. To optimize, when you optimize your PPC, your SEO, you start to show results. You're getting credit for every single one of these of the campaigns that you're running online, and every single lead is getting attributed to your efforts. It really just proves the case that that you're on the job and you're helping your clients to deliver on their marketing goals. I thought this was an interesting statistic when McKay put this into the presentation. 96% of marketers say they demand significantly more analytics than they used to. So analytics is the name of the game. Data is the name of the game. And so, you know, my question is what are the 4% doing? I mean, if they demand 96% demand more and not 4% don't demand more, I'm not sure what business they're in. I think it should be 100%. But if you're out trying to grab business, trying to attract a client, you know, you're an agency and you do PPC or SEO, social media or content, you have a good reputation, good examples of work, but your analytics are light, you're not going to get nearly as far as you would if you were an agency that had significant analytics for both the online and the offline results of your campaigns. And 76% of marketers say they use analytics to make decisions about future marketing spend. I think the other 22% probably use a magic 8-ball. Not quite sure. I'm not sure what these other 22% are doing, but I think that's an interesting data point as well. So there's a case study to show you. We've got a current client, fairly significant client. They started using Log My Calls in 2013. They gathered data about how many calls specific industries can expect using this information, and they're able to project out and help these businesses plan for specific call volume based on specific traffic goals that they plan on driving to their websites, and have a tremendous amount of success at doing that. And you know, for them, call tracking is an incredibly important component of what they expect to be able to provide their clients in terms of leads. They wouldn't do any type of online campaign without Log My Calls.
Okay, I'm going to switch to this because apparently we have lawn care people outside of our building. Sorry about that, folks. I'll get back on speakerphone in a second. You can get more clients using call tracking. You'll definitely lose fewer clients with call tracking. That's one of the ways that you can grow your business. Attrition's a big part of what agencies have to watch for, because they've got to constantly be proving that they're delivering value. And you know, being able to incorporate your call metrics into your other metrics actually makes your service significantly stickier. And we've got some features built into the app that allow you to do this in a fairly automated way. One of the features we've got as part of what we provide for our agency service plan is scheduled reports. We've got over a dozen different reports that you can actually filter and sort the information to get a particular set of metrics that you want. And then you can actually schedule that report to be emailed to your clients on a daily, weekly, monthly basis or what have you, so that you can provide reporting to them without you actually having to generate or create reports manually. We've got a very good alerting and notification system built into it, so that when a call arrives, for example, if you drive a call for your client, they can receive an email notification that a call has arrived for them, so they can know that you're on the job delivering those calls. And then call recording as well, which can be turned on or off, but many of our clients keep call recording on because it really provides an audit trail for them. Your clients can hear their people on the phone, and frankly, when it comes time for them to re-up or for them to can decide whether they're going to stick with you or not, a lot of times the finger gets pointed back to the agency that says, well, yeah, I just spent X amount of dollars with you, but I didn't get any more business from it. Well, it often isn't the lead generation piece of this. It's actually that last mile, that final piece where customers are calling in on the phone, and there's just very poor performance in terms of converting that lead into a sale. And the call recording provides you that audit. and the ability to do that. And then a feature that we just recently added, which actually provides kind of a top-of-mind awareness for anyone that you might be working with, is a whisper tone feature, which allows you to enter some text that can be read to the person who's receiving the call in a text-to-speech format. So you could be constantly promoting that you're just delivering another lead to them. You could put into that whisper tone another great lead from my agency, and they can get that notification every time a call comes in. It does two things. Number one, it makes them aware that you're providing that lead to them, and the other thing that it does, which we've seen the results in, is that they tend to perform better once they know that this is an actual lead coming in versus just some other call, whether it could be a customer call or a billing question or what have you. When they're notified before the call is connected that it's an actual new customer lead from a marketing campaign, that call recipient tends to actually perform better. We've seen that as we've scored and analyzed calls over the last several months as we've introduced this feature. So the stickiness that we provide here allows you to keep customers. And an example of that, we have a fairly large direct mail customer that works in the automotive space. And every single one of their direct mail pieces goes out with a tracking number that gets incorporated into the mail piece so that they can not only track who walks the door and uses a coupon code, but who might pick up the phone and place a call. And if they have a client that leaves us, the account manager pulls up reports and starts listening to the calls. And their claim is that, you know, we save them 25 to 35 clients every quarter because clients can quickly see that we're actually generating calls for them, that there is business that's being produced from the results of the direct mail piece, and that it isn't necessarily the marketing that's the problem. It's oftentimes that last mile, and then they can take it upon themselves to go train, coach their people, improve their phone skills, and really convert more phone calls over the phone. More customers, callers into customers. So for this particular type of application, it keeps customers around longer. It justifies and validates the efforts that the marketing company is doing. Third way to make money and grow your business with call tracking is just impressing your clients. We have a function built into the app that allows you to, number one, create a login from your site. So if you've got a portal that your clients are logging into, or you've got tools that you make available to your clients, this can be one of those co-branded tools that you can make available on your website through a login. And then when the customer logs in, they can be taken to logmycalls.com, but the logmycalls.com site is actually co-branded with the look and feel of your website in your colors, and you can sort of see some examples of that here. The other benefit that we can provide in terms of managing client expectations and managing your campaigns and your inbound calls proactively is the goals section of our website. This is another unique feature that's available really just only in Log My Calls. And it allows you to set goals for phone call volume based on the traffic and the phone calls that you expect from your campaigns. And these goals actually can proactively notify you if you haven't reached them, or when you reach them, or when you've exceeded them, and you can receive an email to let you know where you are when it comes to the phone volume that you want to generate for your clients. So you don't always have to be logged in to Log My Calls in order to be able to get the value out of the information that we're collecting inside the application. You can split test. Obviously, test everything. Split testing is a key part of everything that we do from a marketing standpoint. And the goals actually allow you to split test your phone calls and check your values really quickly and see which campaigns are driving the most amount of phone calls for your clients. And then the fourth element is really using call tracking for your AdWords and your SEO. this is the most granular way to dig down into how your PPC is performing from a phone volume standpoint. So the feature that we have built into our application for this is a concept called dynamic number insertion. It essentially allows you to insert a bit of code onto your client's website, and you can set up in Log My Calls the ability to display different phone numbers depending upon different referring sources. So, for example, you can set up a dynamic number to be displayed when somebody comes from Google SEO or from Bing or from Yahoo. You can create an Adwords campaign that can display a specific phone number for that Adwords campaign. So that what you're doing here is you're starting to parse this traffic out just like you would for web analytics, where you can see how many conversions you got from various traffic sources or various ad campaigns. You can optimize your cost per lead, etc. You can do the same thing with phone calls by marrying a tracking number to a campaign or to an actual lead source that's on the web. And many folks will ask us, how do we deal with, or how does this affect SEO rankings, especially local SEO rankings, when it comes to NAP consistency, name, address, and phone number consistency. This is oftentimes one of the first questions or kind of objections that customers might have, because they're concerned that they need to keep a consistent phone number across all directories, all websites, all microsites, etc. And the way I explain this is that the code is really similar to what you might have for A/B testing a landing page, in that it's JavaScript that swaps a phone number out dynamically when a customer comes to this website, which means that there is a default phone number that's there when Google is crawling the website. And so that static phone number that exists when Google's crawling does not change at any time while they're indexing the site. It only changes when customers come to visit the site, because JavaScript is not executed when Google indexes websites. So that's the way that we work around the NAP consistency. You're still able to maintain name, address, phone number consistency by using the same default phone number you always have, but you incorporate dynamic number insertion into your strategy, and by doing that, these numbers get displayed dynamically when a visitor comes, and you're able to track down to the keyword level, ad word level, etc. So it's a highly effective tool for getting really very deep analytics on pay-per-click that's driving phone calls in particular. And we've got clients that use this extensively with their clients, and basically once they've got it in place, they determine they're never going to do without it ever again. They include it in all their AdWord management plans, and they drive phone calls, significantly higher quantities of phone calls, because they're comfortable with the fact that they're going to be able to track the results just like they would before. I don't want to necessarily jump to the website to show how DNI works. We've got technical briefs and videos on how to use dynamic number insertion. But essentially, it's a section on our website that you can go to when you're setting up the account. And for each of your clients, you can set up different dynamic number rules. And those dynamic number rules then would apply only to the domains that you specify. And so you can do that across multiple clients and have flexibility there. That's a big difference for us versus what you'll see from other companies in our space. And it works as well for SEO, just as a point of information. So we have what's called source-based dynamic number insertion, which basically looks at the referring source that a web visitor comes from, and uses that to drive the rules for what phone number gets displayed. Local SEO is a big part of what digital marketing firms are doing for people, and this is a great way to be able to still keep your local phone number local on your local SEO for Google, but still be able to tell when a phone call comes from a search engine results page. So folks using that as well. Those are the ways. Making money with call tracking is a fifth way. and you can actually use it and bundle it. You can sell it as an additional service, which means you can monetize it as a package. We have ways to help you do that as well. You can include it with your service offerings if you want to just absorb the cost as metrics. But I will tell you that based on the experience that we have with our current customers, they find value in what happens after the phone call. And so giving them access to those recordings and the information that's on those calls is critical value, especially to local and small businesses. And one of the biggest challenges of doing that, of course, is evaluating the phone calls. We actually have services that will help you to do that. And I'll tell you a bit about that in a second. We provide analytics to your clients. We gather analytics for your own testing and optimization for your split testing. You've got free co-branding that's available to you as a digital marketing firm. We've got very simple fixed pricing for tracking numbers, or if you want a more scalable, flexible model, we can price per minute as well. But it's really easy to incorporate this into your offerings to your clients. We offer the scheduled reports, and of course, we have a full REST API. We didn't talk about this much in the presentation, but you can trigger webhooks from phone calls or from scoring activities or various conversation analytics elements of our app. That we'll probably reserve that for another conversation and another presentation where we talk about how webhooks can be used to trigger workflow and activities in other applications on the web. Dynamic number insertion, of course, is a critical piece of doing any type of online marketing campaign. And we have a Google Analytics integration plugin that allows you to very simply and easily pass the data from our phone calls actually back to your client's Google Analytics applications or back to yours so that you can evaluate the phone call volume in a simple and a familiar interface where your customers are used to going and looking for some of their web information. We've got technical briefs on that as well. And then coming in the fall of this year, we've got some very, very exciting technology that is really going to change the way we dig into what happens on a phone call. Up until this point, the only way to be able to tell what happens after a call, if you wanted to see whether a customer converted or whether it was a good lead or a bad lead or whether there was a customer complaint or there was some type of an issue on the phone, is you'd have to actually sift through all the phone calls and listen to all the recordings. And this has been going on, for years and years and years, where the only way you're going to be able to get information out of a phone call is to listen to it. Well, coming in the fall of 2013, we're going to introduce conversation analytics, which is a feature, a significant feature in our app, which really takes us outside of the norm in terms of what we can do versus what the competition can do when it comes to call analytics. What conversation analytics is, very simply, is it's the ability to tell what happened on a phone call without ever having to listen to it. So, we can detect negative emotions. We can tell how satisfied a customer was. We can tell you whether a customer made an appointment, whether they gave you their email address, whether they requested price, whether they mentioned the pricing was too high. We can tell you this information programmatically using our platform. And so as part of your data set, you can not only return information about the source of the lead, the information about when the lead came in, extended data like potentially who called, their name, address, phone number. We have that information available as a lookup as well. But along with that information is actual conversation analysis, information about what happened on the phone call. And so you can use that information potentially to tell your customers how many of these actually converted. You could pass this conversation analytics information as a conversion back into Google Adwords, for example, or over to Google Analytics to show a conversion up from the phone just like you would show a conversion from a web form fill or something that happens digitally on the internet. So it's a significant shift in expectations for the kind of data that you can get out of a phone call. We're very excited about it. We actually are currently accepting beta customers who may be interested in looking at how they could incorporate this information into the feedback to their clients. And so, if there's any interest on anyone's part that's on the phone today at taking a look at what conversation analytics can do for you in terms of differentiating your agency, providing deeper data about what happens on a phone call, if phone calls are a big part of what you do in terms of deliverables for your customers, this is a significant game changer for you. And it should be something that you should take a look at closely to see if it's worthwhile incorporating into your metrics that you're offering to your clients. So, grow your agency, make more money. Easier to get clients, gets them to stay longer. You impress them because you've got world-class analytics. You can build us into your current portal, into your current analytics using some of the preformed integration that we have, or you can use our full REST API or webhooks to push data back into other systems. There really isn't anything that we can't integrate with, and so it's something to. It's really significant to incorporate the analytics from the phone calls into your marketing analytics that you pass back to your clients. Gives you more data to test, allows you to optimize, gives you deeper insight, and you have the opportunity passively to resell call tracking as part of a package for your clients. So most call trackings, SEO firms, what they have decided when they use this is really call tracking isn't just a nice to have, it's a have to have. And so I want to encourage you to explore that a little bit further. And if you'd like to get more information about how you could incorporate this into your particular instance and what you're particularly looking to accomplish for your clients, we'd be happy to talk with you. McKay, I'm going to put this back on speakerphone, and I think you've got some final closing announcements, and then we've got some questions actually that we want to deal with here.
Great, everyone. I hope you can hear me. We had to go off speaker there because the lawn care specialists, I believe, came by and made some noise. Okay, so a couple of items, and then let's get right into questions so Carlton can address those. First, we do want to extend an opportunity just for coming today to the webinar, 30-day free trial of Log My Calls. Go to logmycalls.com/30-day-trial. Coupon code is damn good because it's a beaver dam. We have a beaver. It's a bit of a stretch. Or just call us. That's fine, too. And then we're getting a couple questions about call tracking and SEO, which we'll address in more depth in a moment. But we do want to let you know about 2 ebooks, white papers, whatever you want to call them, that we've created. The first is actually a 33-page document written specifically about call tracking, SEO, NAP, that whole situation, if you will. We talk to industry experts. We talk to people who've implemented call tracking. We try to lay out both sides of the issue, and even the most, I guess the long story short is even the most ardent people who say, oh, call tracking, they admit that there are effective and correct ways to use call tracking that do not hurt SEO. So it's sort of accepted in the industry. It's just sometimes there's a few wrong perceptions, I suppose. And then the next is an ultimate guide about how agencies specifically can implement call tracking, has some information about our pricing structure and whatnot. And so with that, let's take a few questions here. I will just start at the top of the questions, Carlton, and I'll just read them to you as they come in. Okay. And we encourage you to keep asking questions, everybody, even as we're going through this question portion as well. So first, yes, the webinar is being recorded. We'll make that available to you this afternoon or tomorrow. Okay. We have a couple of questions in depth about call tracking and SEO. I'll just read Lisa's question, for example. It says, could you please explain the impact of call tracking on SEO? Problem with NAP, if your different tracking numbers are placed on various sites and directories. I'm curious what the effect of this is, specifically the negative impact that way the benefits of call tracking data. Let me take this for a sec, Carl, if I can, and then you can hop in. Yeah. So the 2 things I would say before we get into it is there is, and we readily admit this, there is a wrong way to use call tracking. Right, you shouldn't put your local tracking numbers all over every directory on the web. Right. That would damage your SEO. That's right. And I think part of the problem, to be frank, and I'll throw our industry under the bus a little bit, is that the industry at large for the last decade has not done a very good job at educating people as to when it is appropriate and when it is not appropriate to use call tracking. And so that's gotten some people into trouble. And so I think now local marketers in some quarters are saying, well, let's just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Forget call tracking altogether, and many are forgetting there is a very effective and very correct and very okay way to use call tracking, and that is with dynamic number insertion specifically. And then there are a couple of other methods actually that are somewhat useful that we get into in our gigantic 30-page treatise on the subject. So anyway, that's kind of my short answer. Carlton, anything to add?
The only thing I would add, I would concur with you that you want to keep phone numbers consistent across the web. Sometimes, in some instances, customers who are driving significant social media via Facebook or other places like that may use a different tracking number to gauge traffic that they drive direct from there. In many of those cases, they will not use a text-based phone number, though. They'll use it built into an image or a GIF. So in that case, Google's also not looking at that GIF and analyzing a phone call and driving any inconsistency. But I would say, for the most part, people that are incorporating call tracking into their online campaigns are definitely using a dynamic number insertion. And it has to fit the right use case there, because essentially you're still driving people to a website, to a landing page. So if that is still a part of the strategy, that you're going to drive people to a website that you can control or that your customer can control, so that you can have the dynamic code on there and so that you can manage the numbers dynamically, then it doesn't affect name, address, phone number consistency at all, because the number doesn't ever change when Google indexes the website. It sees the same consistent phone number it sees across all directories. That's how I would encourage people to use this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Carlton's point he made during the presentation was totally on the ball, that, you know, if this is the same method, this JavaScript dynamic number insertion method is the same method that dynamic content sites use, you know, sites that will change the content specific to a user, or A/B sites like convert.com, or even landing page tools like Unbounce and Lander. Like, that's the same method they use to A/B test. So, you know, it makes no sense to not be afraid of those things and be afraid of call tracking. There's nothing to be scared of if it's used correctly. Another good question here from Ed. He says, can I use call tracking for my small pay-per-call lead gen business, and maybe how so?
That's a great question, and you know, there's a whole pay-per-call market out there. There's a company called Ring Revenue, which has a great app for kind of managing a pay-per-call network, or as an enterprise for managing your pay-per-call channels. Challenge with them oftentimes is it's expensive to get started with them, and so they tend not to want to deal with low volume or small startups. So I know that we can be used for this. I think we would have to talk through your particular use case and how much of an application you may want to build versus just using our app. Our data is structured a little bit differently, to be honest, than a pay-per-call. We don't think in terms of affiliates or publishers and campaigns and those types of things. We don't have that functionality in the app. Having said that, though, we do have companies like Plus and others that are using our infrastructure and kind of layering a pay-per-call network app on top of what we do, and using our API, our tracking numbers, our conversation analytics, and other things that are a part of our baseline application, and then, you know, choosing not to use our UI and to design their own UI using their own design, and then just kind of incorporating the data via the API. So it can be done. We need to talk through your specific use case to see how closely we would fit your business model, and I think you know, we'd be happy to give you a call on that.
We got another good question from Ed, and Ed, I want to read this to you because I want some clarification on this. We make sure we answer it correctly. So I'm going to read you the question, and then we'll come back to it after addressing somebody else. So Ed asks, will you be including opt-in tracking for web leads from our websites? Will you just clarify on that a little bit, Ed? Just type in a clarification. We'll come back to that one in a moment. Danica asks a very good question. She says, what makes Log My Calls different from competitor analytics and call tracking companies?
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward for us. Every other tracking company is going to give you the basics. They're going to give you time of call, duration, caller ID, date and time. If you work with a Mongoose Metrics, you'll get some really good web analytics. But everybody stops with analytics after the phone rings. So it's still this vacuous black hole about what happened after the phone call.
That's a good word, by the way, vacuous. I like that.
So there's still a blind spot. And so did the call convert? Well, we don't know. Why didn't it convert? We don't know. What you'd have to do then with each of those different providers is go in and drill down into the phone calls and listen to them. And believe me, there are huge teams of people at some very large companies that are doing local marketing that are literally listening to phone calls to know whether they can bill a customer or not. And we eliminate that. I mean, when we announce conversation analytics, and we're beta in that now, and we're launching it in the fall, we will eliminate the need to have to listen to phone calls in order to be able to tell what happened. That's a huge differentiator for us and really changes the expectations for the marketplace.
Well, and I would say too, Carlton, that we are I'd say we are competitive, if not beat our call tracking competitors just on the traditional quote-unquote call tracking features. And then when you add conversation analytics on top of that, I think it becomes a huge differentiator.
Yeah, there's a couple of head-to-head features that I think we're better on. Obviously, access to configuring phone numbers. Our API is significantly more modern than anybody else you're going to see. Dynamic number insertion is more flexible because we provide 3 different methods.
Yeah.
So we can keep costs down for DNI versus others where you might have to get 100 numbers. You maybe only need 10 numbers with us in order to be able to execute your dynamic number strategy. So it's helpful.
Okay, that's great. The other thing I would say too is that we're very proactive with our UI and making sure that it's a good experience for your customers.
Okay, so Ed clarified, I guess it would have to be a WordPress plugin that tied into your software, just as you would live phone calls. So you want to basically click to call. I think that's what you're saying. Yes, I mean we actually have a WordPress plugin, but it's more of a reporting plugin. What you may be looking for is something to allow someone to call us right away. And there are some really good companies that do that. I think they probably do it better than us, honestly. Speed to Contact actually has a very easy way to incorporate a button, to be able to incorporate a button.
Yeah. So if you're looking for if someone fills out like a white paper form, for example,
and they want to call them right
immediately
back.
Call them right back. There's a couple companies who do that pretty well.
Yeah, Speed to Contact's one that we work with.
Yeah.
And you can provide them our phone number as the contact phone number, and then basically you're recording calls through Log My Calls. You're recording all the information, but you're using a very simple to integrate tool into a web page.
And then I think the other question he's asking here too is the percentage of opt-ins versus calls that they're getting from a lead gen site. So if you have maybe a landing page, for X, Y, or Z,
yes,
the number of opt-ins versus calls. I mean, that would be just a direct comparison from your CRM or whatever.
From your form fills in your phone call.
Versus the number of calls.
The one thing that we do have is a number of landings or impressions. So dynamic number keeps track of how many times the phone number is shown, just like an impression. And then you can see the number of phone calls from it. So, what we do track is really your conversion rate of visitors to the page to phone calls, which can give you some of that data. And then if you wanted to compare your email opt-ins or your form fill opt-ins versus your phone calls, you can just grab that too. Bits of information, look at your total site visits, and come up with your conversion rates separately for those.
And then the other good question we've got from Mike here is what types of businesses does Log My Calls work with? So maybe types of different agencies as well as types of businesses that, and Ed says he likes the beaver logo too, which is great. Thank you, Ed.
Everybody loves a little beaver.
Everybody does. That's a fact. So types of agencies, I mean, we work with agencies running the gamut. We work with a couple of very large direct mail companies. We work with a lot of local SEO and local PPC companies who are working with, local plumbers and local, types of businesses. We work with B2B agencies even that are doing marketing for other businesses, maybe technology companies or manufacturing companies. So we work with agencies of all types, all sizes. And then in terms of broader clients, we have a fair number of SMB clients who will buy from us directly. And then we also work with a lot of enterprise clients as well. So,
but the industries that are most attracted to this type of metrics and analytics are the ones that love phone calls. So you're talking about home services companies, you're talking about hospitality and travel, you're talking about cash pay medical and dental. So you've got your LASIKs and your cosmetic surgeons, you've got your legal profession, you've got anyone that has a fairly complex sale, has a local footprint, and really values that phone call coming into their place of business. Those are the guys that are going to value this. And the price point for what they sell is relatively high, so this isn't attractive to a pizza place where your average sale is $25. It doesn't make economic sense to have to track the economics of phone calls. But if you got a tire shop or a repair shop, auto repair shop, where somebody's going to spend $1,000 or $1,500, the phone call is critical. And so getting the metrics on those phone calls is an important component of what you should deliver to them.
Good stuff. Okay, well, ask a few questions. We'll conclude here in a moment with a couple of other announcements. But in the next couple minutes, if you've got questions still, please ask them. So to get engaged with us, to start some sort of a process to seeing if it's a fit at all. And like Carlton said, it's not a fit for everybody. So we don't want to, you don't want to fit a square peg into a round hole. So just call one of our sales consultants, and they will see if it's fit. They'll show you the tool, see if it works for you. It's called the number on your screen. If you want to take it for a test drive, tell them that, give them the coupon code, and they will gladly set you up with a 30-day trial. It's not a problem at all. The other thing to mention as well is that we do have marketing content, marketing education webinars about once a week. This one was more focused on call tracking. Typically, they're focused on more marketing subjects, so content marketing, how to more effectively content market or mobile marketing or whatever. So we encourage you to sign up for those. Carlton, any last thoughts before we let everybody get back to their day?
Nope, I'm starving and ready for lunch.
Starving, ready for lunch. When your boss is ready for lunch, you better let him get to lunch. So, guys, thank you for attending today. We appreciate it. You'll get an email from us later this afternoon or in the morning with this recording, as well as with these resources, those two reports that we mentioned as well. So thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.